General Hospital will unveil Gen Sidwell's covert return to Port Charles, armed with a meticulously planned revenge scheme. Haunted by his painful failures in Africa, Sidwell has spent years nursing his desire to retaliate against those who destroyed his career and base of operations. Among his targets, Lucky remains at the top of the list. To Sidwell, Lucky is not just a disruptor of his plans but the very cause of all his losses, from his reputation to his power. For weeks, Sidwell patiently observed Lucky. He monitored every daily activity, memorized habits and routines, and noted the close relationships Lucky had with his family. Nothing escaped his sharp and calculating eyes. Sidwell knew Lucky's schedule inside out, from dropping his kids off at school to enjoying peaceful moments at home with Liz and the children. Through his observations, Sidwell identified Lucky's greatest weakness, his family. He realized that the best way to hurt Lucky was to directly target those he loved most. As Christmas approached, Sidwell decided to strike. He knew that Christmas Eve would be a time when Lucky's family would gather in a cozy atmosphere, completely unaware of any lurking danger. This presented the perfect opportunity to execute his plan. Sidwell meticulously prepared every detail, from timing to selecting a hiding spot to avoid detection. On Christmas Eve, as the twinkling lights from the Christmas tree illuminated Lucky's house, Sidwell stood in the shadows, concealed behind the trees, silently watching. Inside the house, Liz, Lucky, and the children were enjoying joyous moments together. Liz adjusted the decorative lights, Cameron and Jake arranged presents under the tree, while Aiden gleefully took on the task of placing the star on top. The laughter echoed warmly, creating a festive atmosphere. No one realized the danger that was lurking just outside. When Aiden noticed an ornament had fallen into the yard, he instinctively ran out to retrieve it, unaware of what awaited him. Sidwell had been waiting for this moment. As Aiden bent down to pick up the ornament, Sidwell swiftly approached, covering the boy's mouth and dragging him into the darkness. It happened so silently and quickly that no one inside the house noticed. Sidwell carried Aiden away through dimly lit streets, leaving Lucky's house glowing in festive lights, completely unaware of what had transpired. It wasn't until a few minutes later that Liz realized Aiden had not returned. She called his name, starting with a gentle tone that grew increasingly anxious when there was no response. Lucky, sensing something was amiss, immediately stopped everything to search with Liz. The family split up to look for Aiden, searching the house and the yard, but there was no sign of him. Their worry turned to panic as they called out into the cold night without any answer. Liz began to cry, while Lucky tried to stay composed to think clearly. After hours of fruitless searching, Lucky returned to the porch, feeling helpless. It was then that he noticed a note pinned to the door. The simple piece of paper contained a chilling message that made Lucky freeze. The scrawled handwriting read, "You destroyed everything I had. Now it's your turn to suffer. Wait for my instructions." Just by reading the words, Lucky knew Sidwell was behind this. A surge of anger rose within him, mixed with deep concern and fear for his son's safety. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Lucky immediately contacted Jordan to report the abduction and seek police assistance. Despite his efforts to sound calm, his voice betrayed his fear and rage. Meanwhile, Liz was inconsolable, sobbing uncontrollably as she knelt before the Christmas tree, trembling as she prayed for Aiden's safety. Memories of her son's innocent smile and sparkling eyes now felt like daggers in her heart. Cameron and Jake, despite their attempts to appear strong, couldn't hide their fear. The once warm home was now shrouded in a heavy atmosphere of despair. Throughout the night, Lucky and his loved ones searched every corner of the area, from the small roads around the house to nearby parks. Every nook and shadow was thoroughly examined, but no trace of Aiden was found. Lucky's phone rang continuously with calls from friends and colleagues asking for updates, but all he could offer were empty answers. With each passing minute, his worry and helplessness grew. Lucky knew Sidwell was dangerous and ruthless. His aim was not just physical harm, he wanted to break Lucky's spirit and leave him utterly devastated. While Lucky's family was engulfed in despair, Sidwell remained hidden in the shadows, continuing his revenge plot. After abducting Aiden, he shifted his focus to his next target, Isaiah. To Sidwell, Isaiah was the ultimate traitor, indirectly enabling Lucky to destroy his African base. Sidwell's hatred for Isaiah stemmed not only from his defection but also from his support of Lucky. He blamed Isaiah as the root of his failures. This deep-seated resentment fueled Sidwell's determination to eliminate Isaiah, but for now, he wanted Lucky to suffer every moment. Sidwell kept Aiden in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Port Charles, a secluded location away from prying eyes. He locked the boy in a dark, cold room with filthy walls and no light. Aiden, bound and utterly alone, couldn't hold back his frightened cries. He didn't understand why he was there or what would happen next. Sidwell, lurking in the darkness, had no intention of harming the boy immediately. Instead, he sought to prolong the fear and create an enduring nightmare for Lucky. When news of the kidnapping reached Isaiah, he felt compelled to act. Despite knowing he was also on Sidwell's hit list, Isaiah couldn't stand by idly. He understood Sidwell's methods and the danger he posed. Using his knowledge of Sidwell's past, Isaiah provided valuable information to Lucky and Jordan about potential hideouts. These clues helped the police narrow down their search, offering a glimmer of hope for Lucky's family. Finally, a lead directed Lucky and the rescue team to an old, abandoned warehouse. From the outside, Lucky could feel the tension. The air was cold and ominous, seemingly saturated with Sidwell's presence. But this was no easy raid. Sidwell had prepared meticulously, setting up deadly traps to deter any intruders. The main door was bolted from the inside, and every step carried the risk of triggering explosive mechanisms. Jason and Dante, with their seasoned expertise, worked closely to disarm each trap. There was no room for error. Meanwhile, Lucky ventured deeper into the warehouse, praying fervently for Aiden's safety. The beam of his flashlight swept through every dark corner as he moved cautiously but urgently. Finally, in a small room at the far end of the warehouse, Lucky spotted Aiden. The boy was tied to a chair, his eyes red from crying. A wave of emotion surged through Lucky, but he knew that getting his son out safely was the priority. However, just then, Sidwell emerged from the shadows, armed and ready for a confrontation with Lucky. Sidwell's sudden appearance escalated the tension. Accusing Lucky of destroying his life, he made it clear he wouldn't let him leave unscathed. In a gripping showdown, Lucky had to maintain his composure, devising a way to rescue Aiden without putting him in greater danger. The unexpected arrival of Isaiah turned the tide. With unwavering bravery, Isaiah confronted Sidwell, creating a distraction that allowed Lucky to free Aiden and lead him to safety. After a fierce struggle, Sidwell was finally subdued and handed over to the police. However, as he was taken away, he coldly declared that this was only the beginning and vowed not to stop until everyone he despised had paid the price. This harrowing ordeal left a lasting scar on Lucky and his family, serving as a stark reminder of Sidwell's danger and the looming threat he posed. Port Charles was no longer a haven of peace, and its residents had to remain vigilant against the ever-present menace Sidwell represented.